Picture this: a vast untamed edge of the world where the ground drops away into an endless ocean, and the sky stretches out like an unbreakable ceiling. In that lonely space, a giant figure kneels, his back bent under a weight no mortal could ever fathom. His muscles tremble, his breath is heavy, yet he cannot falter, not even for a moment. This is Atlas, the titan doomed to carry the heavens themselves. His story isn't just one of punishment. It's a tale of strength, rebellion, and a legacy that shapes how we see the world even today. So, let's dive into the myth of Atlas, a figure whose burden became a symbol for all of humanity's struggles, and uncover the layers of his incredible journey. Atlas is a name that echoes through history, often pictured as a mighty giant holding up the entire earth on his shoulders. But let's clear up a common misunderstanding right away. In the ancient Greek stories, Atlas wasn't carrying the earth at all. He was tasked with holding up the celestial sphere, the vast dome of the heavens that separates the divine realm from the mortal world below. This wasn't just a physical weight, it was a cosmic responsibility, a duty to keep the universe in balance after a devastating war that changed everything. But Atlas is more than a symbol of endless labor. In some tales, he's a king ruling over the farthest reaches of the West. In others, he's a guardian of sacred treasures. And in later traditions, he's even a wise teacher who gifted humanity the knowledge of the stars. His story weaves through epic battles, encounters with legendary heroes, and into the very way we name and map our planet today. Let's explore the life of Atlas, the titan sentenced to bear the heavens for eternity. To truly understand Atlas, we need to start with his origins, rooted deep in the ancient family tree of Greek mythology. He wasn't just any titan. He belonged to a powerful bloodline that shaped the fate of gods and humans alike. Atlas was the son of Iapetus, one of the original 12 titans, and Clymene, a gentle sea nymph of the Oceanid lineage. Iapetus represented the harsh realities of human life: mortality, suffering, and the wounds that mark our existence. Clymene, on the other hand, brought a softer touch, embodying grace and nurturing strength. Together, they had 4 sons, each one symbolizing a different part of the human experience. There was Prometheus, the clever one, known for crafting humanity and stealing fire from the gods. There was Epimetheus, the naive brother whose name means afterthought, infamous for accepting Pandora and her box of troubles. Then there was Menoetius, the reckless and violent one, whose arrogance led to his downfall. And finally, there was Atlas, the strongest of them all, marked by an endurance that would define his eternal fate. To the ancient Greeks, these 4 brothers weren't just divine beings. They were mirrors of humanity itself. Prometheus stood for ingenuity and defiance, Epimetheus for folly and mistakes, Menoetius for destruction and pride, and Atlas for the sheer will to endure no matter the cost. From the very beginning, Atlas was seen as the embodiment of strength, the one destined to carry a burden heavier than any of his siblings could imagine. In Hesiod's Theogony, one of the earliest written records of Greek myths, Atlas is introduced not as a ruler or a thinker, but as the titan forced to stand at the world's edge, holding up the heavens. While other titans were chained in the dark depths of Tartarus after their rebellion, Atlas' punishment was unique. His incredible might set him apart, making him the only one capable of bearing such a monumental load. And so, he was cursed to do so forever, a figure of raw power bound to an unending task. The Greeks didn't often linger on detailed descriptions of their gods and titans, but with Atlas, his physical presence was central to his identity. He wasn't depicted as beautiful or regal, but as a towering force of nature, built for endurance rather than grace. Ancient texts, like Hesiod's works, describe him simply: a giant standing at the farthest edge of the earth, his shoulders straining under the weight of the sky. There's no mention of a throne or a crown, no symbols of royalty or power beyond the sheer strength etched into his form. He was a living pillar, his body locked in a permanent struggle against the heavens above. Early Greek art, like vase paintings and temple carvings, captured this image with stark clarity. Atlas with his arms raised, muscles tight, as if he were both man and stone, holding up the world's ceiling with every ounce of his being. Over time, though, this image evolved. By the time of the Romans and later during the Renaissance, artists began to show Atlas carrying not the heavens, but the earth itself. Statues and paintings portrayed him with a massive globe on his back, the oceans and continents mapped across its surface. This wasn't true to the original Greek myths, but it struck a powerful chord. The idea of a single being holding the entire world became a lasting symbol of burden and responsibility. Today, when most people think of Atlas, they picture this weary giant stooped under a globe, representing the crushing weight of existence. It's a misunderstanding that's become part of his legacy, transforming him from a keeper of cosmic order into a universal icon of struggle and perseverance. But let's go deeper into who Atlas was beyond his burden. His family ties paint a fuller picture of his place in mythology. As the son of Iapetus, he inherited a legacy of rebellion against the newer gods, the Olympians led by Zeus. His brothers each played their part in humanity's story. Prometheus with his gift of fire, Epimetheus with his tragic error, and Menœtius with his destructive pride. Atlas, though, stood out for his strength, a trait that both defined him and doomed him. He wasn't just a brother, either. He was a father to many daughters who carried his name into the stars and seas of Greek lore. There were the Hesperides, the nymphs who guarded the golden apples of immortality in a garden at the world's western edge. There were the Pleiades, 7 sisters who became a constellation in the night sky, and through one of them, Maia, Atlas became the grandfather of Hermes, the swift messenger god of Olympus. He also fathered the Hyades, nymphs tied to rain and sorrow, and Calypso, the enchantress who held Odysseus captive on her island. Through his children, Atlas' influence stretched from the depths of the ocean to the heights of the heavens, embedding his legacy across the Greek world. Now, let's talk about Atlas' role in the grand scheme of things. He's most famous for his punishment, but there's more to his character than just endless toil. Unlike Prometheus, who's remembered for his sharp wit and daring schemes, Atlas is a quieter figure in the surviving stories. He doesn't speak much. His presence alone tells his tale. He's not a schemer or a trickster. His story is one of resistance through sheer endurance. Under the weight of the heavens, he became a living emblem of resilience, a reminder that sometimes strength means simply holding on when everything pushes you to break. While Menœtius raged, Prometheus plotted, and Epimetheus stumbled. Atlas endured. His personality isn't shaped by choices or words, but by the unyielding reality of his fate. Zeus placed the sky on his shoulders, and Atlas had no option but to bear it. Yet, he wasn't entirely without power or purpose. His strength was unmatched, a force so great that he could hold what no other could. In some later stories, he's even credited with wisdom, described as the first teacher of astronomy. If he carried the heavens, who better to study their patterns and secrets? Writers in ancient times suggested that Atlas mapped the stars, tracked the sun's path, and taught humans to read the night sky. In this, he is not just a punished titan, but a bringer of knowledge, turning his suffering into a gift for mankind. This duality, rebel and pillar of order, sufferer and sage, makes Atlas a fascinating figure. Without him, the Greeks believed, the heavens might crash into the earth, plunging the world into chaos. His burden was both a curse and a necessity, a punishment that also held the universe together. To grasp why Atlas ended up with this fate, we need to step back to the greatest conflict in Greek mythology, the Titanomachy, a 10-year war between the old Titans and the rising Olympians. This wasn't a battle of mortals, but a clash of immortals that shook the very foundations of reality. The Titans, led by Cronus, were the elder gods, children of Uranus and Gaia, who had ruled long before Zeus and his siblings came to power. Atlas stood with the Titans, throwing his immense strength against the younger Olympians, unlike Prometheus, who saw Zeus's victory coming and stayed neutral. Atlas fought fiercely alongside Cronus. His might made him a fearsome champion in the chaos of war, a force that even the Olympians couldn't ignore. But Zeus had allies that tipped the scales. The Olympians freed the Hecatoncheires, hundred-handed giants, and the Cyclopes, who crafted unstoppable weapons. Thunderbolts for Zeus, a trident for Poseidon, and a helm of darkness for Hades. Against such power, even the mightiest Titans began to crumble. After a decade of battle, the Olympians won, and many Titans were imprisoned in Tartarus, a dark abyss guarded by the Hecatoncheires. Atlas, however, faced a different fate. Zeus saw his raw strength as both a threat and a tool. While Prometheus and Epimetheus were spared, and Menelaus was struck down, Atlas was sentenced to stand forever at the Earth's edge, holding the heavens aloft. This wasn't just punishment, it was a role only he could fulfill. The sky he carried wasn't a mere object. It was the barrier between divine and mortal realms. Without Atlas, order would collapse, and his curse became a bitter necessity for the world's survival. When Zeus condemned Atlas to his eternal task, he didn't hide him away like the other imprisoned Titans. Instead, Atlas was placed at the farthest western edge of the known world, a mysterious realm where the sun sets into the sea each day. To the Greeks, this was the border between the familiar and the unknown, a place tied to death, immortality, and the underworld. Here, Atlas stood with his feet on the earth and his shoulders under the sky, a living boundary between realms. But some stories add another layer to his exile. In certain traditions, Atlas wasn't just a prisoner. He was also a king of this distant land, ruling over a realm of hidden knowledge and guarded riches. His punishment and his power blurred together, making him both a captive and a sovereign at the world's end. This idea of Atlas as a ruler ties him to the Garden of the Hesperides, a magical orchard at the western edge where golden apples of immortality grew. These apples, a divine gift, were guarded by his daughters, the Hesperides, and often by a serpent named Ladon. The garden became a symbol of the West's allure and danger, a place where heroes ventured at great risk. Travelers who reached this far-off land encountered not just the Hesperides, but Atlas himself, a figure who could be welcoming or hostile depending on the tale. By placing Atlas here, the Greeks made him a guardian of limits between earth and sky, mortal and divine, known and unknown. His role wasn't just to suffer, but to stand as the frontier of existence itself. Atlas' story doesn't stop with his punishment. Even as he bore the heavens, heroes of later myths entered his domain, testing his strength and resolve. One of the first was Perseus, the hero who slayed Medusa. After beheading the Gorgon, whose gaze could turn anyone to stone, Perseus traveled westward, farther than most mortals dared, until he reached Atlas' land. In some versions, Perseus sought shelter, asking for hospitality under the sacred guest-host bond of Xenia. But Atlas, wary of a prophecy that a son of Zeus would steal the golden apples, refused him. Angered, Perseus revealed Medusa's head, and in an instant, Atlas turned to stone, his massive form becoming the Atlas Mountains of North Africa, a range stretching over 2,400 kilometers, with peaks rising as high as 4,400 kilometers, 167 meters. In other tellings, Atlas asked to see the head, longing for release from his burden, and Perseus granted him mercy by turning him to stone. Either way, the story etched Atlas as suffering into the landscape, his petrified form holding up the sky as a silent mountain range. Another hero, Heracles, brought a different challenge during his 11th labor, to retrieve the golden apples from the Hesperides garden. Knowing the orchard's location and its guardians, Atlas' daughters, and the serpent-laden, Heracles sought the Titan's help. He proposed a deal. Atlas, who could enter the garden freely, would fetch the apples while Heracles held the heavens in his place. The hero braced himself, taking the sky's weight on his shoulders, a feat that tested even his legendary strength. For a brief time, Atlas was free, and he returned with the golden fruit, but he wasn't eager to resume his burden. He offered to deliver the apples himself, suggesting Heracles keep holding the sky. Sensing the trick, Heracles agreed but asked Atlas to take the weight back, just for a moment to adjust his cloak. When Atlas lifted the heavens again, Heracles grabbed the apples and left, leaving the Titan bound once more. This tale reveals a rare side of Atlas, his desire for freedom and a glimpse of cunning, though ultimately outmatched by Heracles' wit. Beyond his image as a suffering giant, later traditions painted Atlas as a figure of wisdom. Writers like Diodorus Siculus, from the 1st century before the Common Era, described him as the first to study the heavens, teaching humanity astronomy. It makes sense. If anyone knew the sky, it was the Titan who held it. Atlas, in this view, charted the stars, tracked the seasons, and shared cosmic knowledge, turning his punishment into a source of insight. This idea reshaped him from a mere rebel into a cultural hero, much like Prometheus with fire. Many of his children, like the Pleiades and Hyades, became constellations, tying his family to the heavens he bore. Studying the stars in a way was studying Atlas' own story. Of all the Titans, Atlas might be the most recognized today. His name and image appear in art, literature, and even geography. Yet his myth is often misunderstood. As we've mentioned, early Greek sources are clear. Atlas held the heavens, not the earth. Hesiod and other ancient writers describe him as the pillar separating sky from ground. But by Roman times and into the Renaissance, this shifted. Artists depicted him with a globe, the earth on his back, a striking but incorrect image that stuck. This led to maps and chart collections being called atlases, as if the world's geography rested on his shoulders. The era transformed Atlas into a universal symbol of burden, representing not just cosmic duty, but the human struggle against overwhelming odds. Today, most imagine him carrying the earth, a misconception that's now part of his enduring legacy. So Atlas remains at the world's edge, the heavens pressing down on him for eternity. He's a titan of rebellion, a king of the West, a teacher of the stars, and above all, the bearer of an unliftable weight. His story speaks to us across time, a reminder of strength in suffering, of endurance against the impossible. Whether as a punished giant or a wise guide, Atlas stands as a monument to the burdens we all carry, forever holding up the sky in the farthest reaches of myth and imagination.